Hello and welcome back to my writing segment where I will deliver some handy tips for aspiring writers, for those who might have writer's block, and for those wanting to turn your stories into short films if that is the direction you are going in. In this episode, I will be discussing networking. So, networking is a big one. It means you have to come out of your comfort zone. It means you have to go out into the community. It means you have fellow writing friends who will look over your work. It means that you get to promote your work. It means that you get other eyes on your work. So when I first started my writing journey, I had no one. I knew no other authors except for the ones that were on my course, my creative writing courses. Basically, and well, I have to be honest, I didn't really get along with them all because, well, they were not horror writers, so did not want to review or workshop any of my stories because they were too horrific for them. Anyway, that's another story. But what I learned was that I needed people to read over my stories because I was just getting bogged down with them. I just didn't, at the beginning, I didn't know if I was doing it right. I didn't know if I was getting all the intricate details correct, like characters, which I just did a video on that just before. And I didn't know dialogue tags, something so simple, because I grew up in old school. You know what I mean? The language has changed over the years. So things have changed. Formatting's changed. People use shun in most instances, unless it's an anthology where you tend to not use shun formatting. Anyway, these are things that I realised quite early on, and I didn't have anybody. I just my friends and my family, some of them would be keen to read my stories. But the problem with that is it's good that they read them and said, oh, yeah, no, I really like it. But there's no feedback. There's no, it's you need a writer with technical writing skills to know what they're doing in order to actually help you. Because what I started to find was family members were like, oh, yeah, no, it's really, really good. And I'm like, well, did the plot land? Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, it did. How? Oh, because it just did. Oh, all right. So anyway, what I did was I went on to some writing groups on Facebook because there's loads of them. And I wanted to see what was going on in the writing world and what do I do and, all this sort of stuff. And anyway, I ended up beta reading and ARC reading for people, and which meant that was so gradually I started having some authors coming into my emails going, oh, would you look over this? Would you look over, would you help me see whether or not this worked, whether or not the pacing was good? They'd specifically say, did I have all the, are you sure all the names are right? Could you just make sure that the dialogue tags and all that sort of stuff are working and are correct? Because you don't want to send off a submission that's just the editor has to edit over and over again because you didn't put the work into the editing. So there's things like that. So, then I would send them my work. So it's like a quid pro quo situation. where they do it for you, you do it for them, then back and forth, another story. Could you do this? And then I had about a handful of people. I've got about a handful of people who did who just I could just send an email to and go, oh my god, could you just make sure that I've got no filters in there, like almost, nearly, because in horror, which is probably another video I'll do, is about being more direct, especially in horror. You don't want to fluff around. You want to impact people. So that's something I was making sure that they were landing. I wanted to make sure the twists at the end were landing as well. And that comes with not only being a reader, but just in general, you want to make sure that your story's going to be a success. So then from there, I actually started having my stories read out on podcasts on YouTube. So that gave me more confidence as well, because hey, there's a YouTube channel wanting to do narrated fiction of one of my short stories. Well, that's really cool. So yeah, I started with that. It was Cleaving Thought from Bone was my first story I put out there into the zeitgeist. That was The Gorge. And then I also had the Horrific podcast, which I co-host with Colin Martin every 2 weeks. We do film reviews on his channel. He narrated quite a few of my stories, probably about 5 stories over a period of time. And then Script Read was is a friend of mine from Australia who runs a entertainment production. So I probably had probably about 5 or 6 stories on his channel as well. And actually, Clayton Ritchie, who's also a director, decided that he loved my story, Undying Love, enough that he actually took the time out of his day, his pocket, everything as the producer. He ended up turning one of my short films, my short stories, Undying Love, into a film. That had always been a dream of mine since I was at college. And that was just an amazing experience. But see, that would never have happened if I hadn't have gone out there and networked. And don't be afraid. That's the thing, is don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You're not going to get hurt. You might have been rejected in the past. As a writer or an author, you have to have thick skin, because not everybody's going to enjoy your stories. So a handful might, and the other 10 may not. That's on them. Not everybody's going to enjoy the same story. The other thing is networking with publishers. Say Wicked Shadow Press was quite good. I had about 13 stories in 13 of their books. So there's also, as well as networking that way, there's always other things you can do, like enter competitions, say Readsy. What they do is you send in they give you a prompt, and you send in a story, and if it's good enough, they'll publish it. So it's not about money, it's about making sure that people around you are helping with you with your career, because it is a career, it's a hard slog. But what I'm finding, and to be perfectly honest, there's a lot of authors out there that want exposure but are too afraid to do it. So they bitch and moan, I'm an author, blah, 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 but nobody bought my book for 5 years. Oh, yeah, 5 years? Jeez. And you've been promoting it? Well, that doesn't sound right. Promoting? What do you mean promoting? Like, as in making posts about your books? Oh, no, I don't do that. No, that's vain. That's vanity. You don't self-promote. Come on. No wonder nobody's buying your books because you're not promoting them. I don't see you writing a post once a week. No, I might see a random one every 8 months or once a year. But I don't see you doing anything else. Like, yeah, you published a book 5 years ago and you're still calling yourself an author. One book 5 years ago does not an author make. You have to keep doing it. You can't just sit on your lapels and go, oh, titles are titles and whatever. But if you're going to use a title like I'm a lawyer, I'm an author, I'm a dentist. Well, you might have been a dentist 20 years ago. Are you still a dentist? No. Well, you're not a dentist. You were a dentist. You published a book 5 years ago? Yeah, no, you're not an author anymore. You were, you gave up, basically, because I bet you didn't share a post every single day about your book. Or did you? And then you just gave up? Did you up the ante? Did you do anything else? Did you do interviews? Did you go to your local, there's things like that. Go to your local library and say, hey, I've got a book that I had published. Would you be interested in having it in your library catalogue? I know over here in New Zealand, my local library, when I got my first book published, I was like down there going, I've got a book published. Would you be interested? I could give you a copy. And they're like, oh, no, we don't take copies like that. We have to source it off a particular website and stuff like that. And guess what? They did straight away. Took a little while for them to get the process and the ball rolling. There's quite a lot of things that go into it. But now one book is in there. I'm yet to find the time to go back down and do it. But I mean, that's a goal in the next couple of weeks sort of thing that I've already set in place. So yeah, it's libraries are brilliant. You want your book forever, kind of forever, to be out there, put it in your local library. There's people, you'd be surprised how many people in your community, once they find out you're an author, everybody loves to meet an author, because it's such it's not as easy as people think it is to write a story. It takes a lot of learning and a lot of growing and a lot of research goes into it. So people in your community will be really excited about meeting an author. And if you want to network, you could also start up a writing group in your community where you teach people technical writing skills for free. Remember, you don't have to pay for everything in this world. I know that's the way we're going, but there's nothing wrong with giving out tips to people to help them, support them, encourage your local authors. So just put yourself out there, get off the computer, out of your house, and then go and have a look what's happening. Go and have a look at there has to be a writers group in your community. There's got to be. I don't know what your situation is or whatever, but most of the writing groups that I know are in my area sometimes might cost, say, $20 a year for a and what happens in some of those writing groups is you get to read your stories out, and then they can say, oh, that was really good, but maybe that, maybe in the middle there you could have put a bit more flesh because it went up and then it went down and then it went up again, sort of thing. I don't know. There's things like that. There's also radio. I've done a radio interview to promote my books, and there's things like that you can do. You just got to do it. Just don't be shy. Don't let insecurities get in the way. It's okay to be on a podcast. Nobody's going to bite you or come back and go, oh, you looked ridiculous or whatever. It's just, who cares? It's your life. So just take control of it. and find people who are going to help and encourage you. Don't go for people who are toxic, who are giving you negative feedback, who are trying to do complete rewrites of your work. So make sure you've got positive, enthusiastic, supportive people around you. It's so important. And what I've found on Facebook, as such, is a handful of authors that we help each other, we support each other. We don't bring each other down, especially if you're reviewing somebody's work. Just doing a quick read over just to make sure. Just be nice, be kind to people. You don't need to trash somebody's work. Yeah. So, but if you surround yourself with positive people, you won't have to worry about that, because it's all about working together. Because being a writer can be really isolating. That was the thing I found at the beginning, was the isolation of, because you're not going to work every day, as in, well, you, with your writing career or on your writing journey, you might be at home a lot of the time by yourself. And so networking is a positive way to keep it alive, to keep you in the writing zone and in the writing world, because there's always the potential you could drop off, and then your career's gone. And that's really sad. So don't give up. Just keep trying, and don't bitch that nobody is buying your books if you can't even do a post about your book. And I also would like to, now would probably be a good time to say, if you are involved in an anthology, if one of your stories has been put into an anthology, share that book with people, please. Don't just sit there and hope the marketer, the publisher is going to do all the work. It's actually your story that's in that book. So promote it. Let people see where your story is, so that people will buy that book and read your story and know that you're still committed to being a writer. I think there's so much going on in the world right now that, there's a loss of identity. People don't know what they're doing with their lives anymore. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what the future's going to hold, especially with AI and all this stuff coming up. It's like, so it's really good to grab onto something that makes you happy. And if being a writer makes you happy, that's good and dandy. If you're just doing it for therapy and you actually don't want anyone to buy any of your stuff, then I understand why you don't promote it. But if you're actually part of an anthology, you need to share your writing. You need to share those books, because it's also not fair on the publisher, because the publisher's doing a lot of work for you, and sometimes they can get very upset when they find out that the authors have not done their end, and that is by promoting the books they've been involved in, and that's really sad, especially when I see people online crying about, oh, no one's bought my book, no one's buying my book. Well, if you don't promote it, no one's going to know you have a book. It's duh, so simple. Anyway, so yeah, that is my lesson. Network, get out of your comfort zone and start involving yourself in the writing communities, so that you are not so isolated, and then you can master your skill at writing, and then people will know your name as soon as your name comes up. They'll be like, oh, I know that person. They wrote a book in Wicked Shadow Press's story book, blah, 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 or the Horrific Tales Volume 3. Yeah. So, yeah, I can't stress that enough, how important networking is. It's one of those vital things that, if you want to sell a book, publicize it. So anyway, I hope this has helped you on your writing journey this week. You have been speaking with me, Mistress of Darkness. And happy writing, my fellow horror fiends. Now get writing. And until next time, bye for now. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.